僕の出番ですかにゃ。商売なら僕にお任せですにゃ。
Hello, I'm Silveroxis, and the unit coming this week to Octopath Traveler COTC is Rique, the Merchant of the Caits, and the final of the existing Caits to come to the game, and this is also the last unit that Global had before the merge with the C server, so now that we're all caught up with all the units that should be existing. So moving on to what Rique does, Rique is a merchant, but he is actually a party support and a good spear and wind breaker due to his actually pretty decent buffs. His special abilities is that he grants the party passive buffs based on BP held at the start of the turn when you press the attack button, and BP used that turn. So he can grant front row allies passive physical attack buff cap increased to 50% over 30%, which potentially allows for even greater damage. His preferred weapons would probably just be a Fortune Spear for P-Attack, Magic Attack, just to get a little bit more damage out. You're not really worried about like him doing the most damage, but at least on all his hits, you might as well get more damage out. There's no reason not to. He doesn't really worry about the other stats as much. Preferred accessories, you can give him Spear, Wind damage up, accessories to add some damage because he doesn't have any damage up passives of his own. P-Attack, Magic Attack to boosting damage, or some BP regen accessories. Or Breaker gear would probably be really good if you're using him as a Breaker because his priority skills as a Breaker unit are really, really good. So like if you are using him as a Breaker, then you're going to want all your Breaker defense down, resistance down accessories as well. For his passive skills, his first passive is that he grants all front row allies physical attack cap up from 30 to 50% from passives and equipment, plus 20,000 damage cap up. This exists no matter where he is in the party. This is actually a rather unique thing that he got a buff of. This does come later in the game. It generally is like exclusive to certain units on themselves versus a party-wide buff. So it is interesting that they gave this to Rique. I'm assuming they did this to kind of make it a la physical version of what Isla does, because Isla does passive magic attack up, so it's the same system like that. It is actually not that difficult to get to 50% passive attack up, especially considering that Rique can do 25% of it by himself, as you'll see in his other passives. So his 3-star passive, while in the front row, grant the following effects to all front row allies based on the amount of BP Rique has at the start of the turn's action phase when pressing attack to begin that turn. And so what that means is if he's sitting on this amount of BP, doesn't matter what he uses that turn, when the turn starts, when he's in the front row, those buffs will activate. And the interesting thing about this is it doesn't matter where he is at the start of the turn. If he moves to the front row, all of this 3-star passive buffs will activate instantly. So even if he's the third unit to go, he'll still buff everybody's defense for damage that might be taken, and he'll still buff that last unit's attack. So like it's just the BP he has, and then if he's in the front row, these buffs activate as soon as he's in the front row that turn. So he can jump from the back row to the front row using his priority skill and buff everybody with these passive buffs and everything. These are all unique buffs; they cannot be extended. So yeah, and as you can see there, 2, 3, 4, 5 BP. He gives 15% defense up, then attack up, then he gives HP regen, not the strongest, but it can help you keep people alive, and then 30 SP regen if he has got 5 BP. His TP passive, which he didn't have in the original release, but he does now, is that he grants the following effects to all front row allies based on the amount of BP Rique used this turn. So if he uses 1, 2, or 3 BP on the skill that he's jumping to the front row with, or already in the front row with, he grants even more buffs. So with 1 BP, he grants all magic people the ability to crit with magic. 2 BP is the one that matters more. He grants another 10% physical attack and magic attack up, equaling that 25% passive physical attack magic attack up out of the 50% he can now give you. So he's just doing half of it by himself, which is pretty good. And then if you use 3 BP, you get 20,000 damage cap up. And you may be wondering, well, that means you got to be using BP every single turn. What's that going to mean? Well, when you get onto his skills, you'll see why that's not that big of a deal. So moving on to his skills, as based, 3-hit single target spear, 3-hit random target spear with a 20% chance to self-heal, all enemies physical attack magic attack down for 2 to 5 turns, so that's just an AoE attack down. It's not bad. Then moving on to some better skills, this is where he kind of has like the same, like he has like the Oswald thing where he has like basically skills to do the same thing, but he has 1 for spear, 1 for wind. So he has a 4-hit single target spear and wind that both give him 1 BP back immediately, and also 1 BP regen for 2 turns. So that's just BP battery on himself. So that allows him to just sustain using 3 BP constantly grant allies as passive buffs, or at least 2 BP constantly if you just want the physical and magic attack up constantly. Then his 3-star skill, he has a 3 to 6 hit single target spear, and the hits vary based on your boost level, up to 6 hits, as you can see with the power on the screen. And every single hit has a 30% chance to restore 1 BP per hit. So statistically, if you do 6 hits, you're going to probably get 2 BP back on average. And the 6-star evolution of the skill changes it to 4 to 7 hits for spear. So that's even more chance to get more PP back. Plus, it's decent at shield shaving because you can just throw all 3 BP 7 hit single target spears to shield shave and give your party buffs. His 4-star skill is the same thing. It's a 3 to 6 hit win, same thing as before, except this one does not get enhancement by 6 stars, so it just stays at 6 hits. Not so spear slightly better than wind. Oh well. His 5-star skill is he has 2 priority skills. One's a priority 4-hit AoE for spear and a priority 4-hit AoE for wind. The spear one grants front row 15% physical attack up for 2 turns. The wind one grants front row 15% magic attack up for 2 turns. Kind of makes sense. So you take 1 for magic, 1 for physical. And then if max boosted, they both grant 15% all damage up for 2 turns. That's really good because all damage up is all damage. It works for any build or any comp as long as, and ideally if he's able to break, then even better. You can use this as a breaker and buff your entire front row's damage if you don't already have cap damage up, so that's really good. His TP skill is that it's a self-restore SP skill, and depending on how much BP uses it, it changes the skill to also add on granting 1 dodge physical attack buff stack, also heal, a decent powered heal, and then if you use 3B and max boost it, then the skill affects the entire front row, so it basically becomes a front row burst heal, granting a single dodge stack, and also restoring 125 SP to the front row. That's pretty good too. So for his EX skill and ultimate technique, his EX skill has 2 total uses, and it's unlocked when Rique has 3 BP or less, so basically right away at the start of battle unless you have his A4 on. And it's also just easy to use. It's a self-restore, so it gives him 5 BP instantly, and then he also caps his own physical attack, magic attack to 30%, and also gives himself 30% potency up for 3 to 6 turns. So if you basically use this to max boost, you will get 5 BP immediately. And that also just means that you just now gave your entire party the 3 BP buffs, and then you have 5 BP for this passive buff for the next turn. So it kind of just plays into itself. So you can just use this to give himself a little bit of extra damage as like a side DPS without having to worry about him too much. It's useful. His ultimate technique is a damage clutch ultimate, 4 BP to charge from level 8. It's called the Alpaca Cart Rush, and it's a 1-hit AoE spear that exploits wind weakness, and the power increases based on the amount of BP Rique has at the start of action phase for pressing attack. Same thing as before. Also, I think I forgot to mention before is, for example, if he has like a pet that gives BP, you can actually use that pet to give BP, and that BP added on will then increase his buffs if it wasn't already. So if you go from like 3 BP to 4 BP with the pet, he's now doing the 4 BP passive, because the game doesn't care. It only counts the BP he has once you press the attack button. Just wanted to throw that out there. I tested that myself just to make sure that's how it works. Anyway, the power increases up to 3.5 times if you have 5 BP when using the ultimate already, and it scales from 375 power to 450 power at ultimate level 10. Multiply that times 3.5. Plus, you can soul in it if you really wanted to. Don't. I'm just saying, just a meme thing. Because the reason why is the ult 10 priority to this is leave this at ult 9. This is a meme ultimate. It's just one stupidly strong hit that will pretty much always damage cap even through shields. You never need to ult 10 this. But with the fun fact about this is that with Global's buff to making it a 3.5 times 5 modifier that's specifically just for this skill, therefore you could also soul in it to add even more damage to it. This ultimate with ultimate 20 in the future is actually the strongest single hit in the entire game. I'm not joking. Rique just casually has the strongest single hit in the entire game, and it's hilarious that he has that. It's the ginger fur. It's giving him power, I guess. I don't know. So moving on to his Awakenings at A4 accessory. A1's nice to have for more damage, but it's not really needed when he's mainly there for support. A2 can be nice to have to be able to take his TP skill along on top of the 3 set skills for either Spear or Wind. It's not required, but it can be useful to have. Or you can drop one of the skills out if needed to take the TP skill. A3's HP is never bad to have. I mean, what do you want me to say about A3 in all my reviews? It's always good. HP is never bad. Anyway, his A4 accessory is called the Cait Merchant's Thick Account Book. It gives 40 SP, 50 P attack, and 50 magic attack, and its abilities are when using 3 BP, self-heal 10% of it max HP and 10% of max SP, and at the start of battle, self-gain 5 BP. So the A tier A4 rating of this is, I would rate this as a B tier A4. It's not bad, but the stats aren't great, and the heal effect will rarely matter. Even in the SP, restore really rarely matters because we have Shauna now. So starting with battles with max VP is the best effect here, but that really only matters for speed clears / units that are able to use 5 PvP at once, which is currently only Santos, but several more units that do have the ability to use up to 5 BP at once are coming out in the future. One of them coming very soon is Kane in the Nier 2 collab, which we are predicting is going to be in June, so be ready for that. But she is the next one that has the 5 BP at once ability. As for an optimal skill loadout, I would say skill 1, 2, and 3. You should take the 4-hit single target spear or wind that restores 1 BP and BP regen. Then take the 3 to 6 hit spear or wind that has the 30% chance to restore BP per hit. And then the priority 4-hit spear or 4-hit wind. And you should just take the one that matches the fight you're in, either spear or wind, the 3 of each. And then if you have A2, then I would take the TP skill that self-restores HP. That restores SP, physical dodge, it gives physical dodge stack, and heals the front row. And depending on the fight, and like if you don't worried about it, you can just take the priority 4-hit AoE spear and maybe drop the 4-hit single target spear. It kind of depends on what you need. But like that's my recommendation for using Rique, because I had used them in some niche comps, because he does the physical attack thing does matter. It's going to be better now that he has his TP. As for party synergy, this is the same kind of issue with Shauna. He's a Rique support. Rique is a support unit himself, not a DPS. So he is the one who synergizes with others more than units synergizing with him. However, the key thing to run with him would be Bargello and Richard, or for example, because they have 15% physical attack passives, and those would stack with Rique's 25% that he can give per turn to make the most use of his 50% passive attack. Meaning that if you just have Bargello or Richard and Rique, and then you're on your main DPS, put the Orphanage postcard on the unit behind them, that is 50% passive physical attack, just like that. Very easy to get to 50%. So I would recommend using that with Rique. Alright, so whether you should pull or not to pull, that's how I would rate him. Rique fills an interesting niche now thanks to the buffs he received. Formerly being almost never worth using, he now has a rather unique ability to grant the entire front row an increase to passive physical attack cap, which can largely increase damage potential, and he can grant 25% of that 50% by himself just by having and using BP. His skills also make him into a self-BP battery to keep his passives active as well, so he becomes a great breaker option for spear and wind comps due to his priority skills that buff the relevant attack stat and all damage up. Granted, he must be in the front row for a stat boosting passives to trigger, but there's some niche uses for him now, and he's also a Cait unit, so like if you want all the Caits, there you go. As always, ignore pull advice if you love a unit, because, I mean, who doesn't love the Caits? And have fun your way. For tier 4 FTP, I would still say you should probably skip. His niche is more for speed clears, less high damage output anyway, and Kane in Nier 2 is very soon. Tier 3 low spend passes, I'd still say skip, but it's not a terrible pickup from a paid selector depending on your roster and who you're missing. Because if you are a low spender or doing passes only, for example, like if you're getting both monthly passes, you're going to be getting 1,200 paid rubies every 6 months, and the best use for those rubies is anniversary paid selectors to guarantee a limited unit that you missed. Just FYI, I want to throw that out there. That's why I differentiate Tier 3 from Tier 4. Not only do they get slightly more rubies from the passes, but they are also getting that one paid lap every single year, twice a year. So that's pretty good. Tier 2 for Dolphin, I'd actually say A0 is good. Try to get one. It's more than enough to use for his great support uses, and you can have a lot of fun doing some speed clear stuff with him now. And then if you're a whale, I'd get his A4. The 5 PP start a battle, A4 has great speed clear use. So for overall rating, I'd say his DPS is a B tier. His support is an S tier. Healing is A tier, because it's actually not bad at all, because that front row burst heal that you can just continuously spam for front row every turn and give SP. It's not bad at all. Not available anything at tank, so overall tier for him I'd actually give as an A-, like on the bottom of A tier. So he has like niche use, so he's good, but like it's one of those you don't have to have him and you won't be missing out if you don't get him, but it's not like a waste of rubies either. Plus, like I said, it's Cait. It's a Cait, so like, you know, if you like all the Caits, you're gonna get them, because like they did confirm in JP that they are making the other 5 Caits, and they're gonna eventually, hopefully either this year or soon. So, you know, keep an eye out for that. Anyway, that's what I think about Rique. Please let me know if you like this, and if you decided to pull for him, let me know how lucky you got or what you're gonna do. I personally already got him from Global, so I will not be pulling again and just use seals to 6-star him. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Please like, follow, and subscribe for more COTC content in the future, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.